What if the voice calling your name isn't from this world? What if the person you lost is trying to warn you from beyond time itself? Tonight, we continue the alien message about God's final plan. Chapter 2. The Echoes Under the Lights. If you believe some truths are hidden for a reason, then don't forget to like this video. Share it with someone who questions everything. And subscribe so you won't miss what happens when the message finally reveals itself. Rain had stopped, but the smell of wet grass still clung to the air like a memory that refused to fade. Ethan Cole stood alone in the empty stadium, the hum of the floodlights filling the silence. The world felt suspended, as if time itself was waiting for him to move, to breathe, to finally accept that Liam Hayes was gone. He could still hear the crowd from that night. The roar, the whistle, the sound of his own heartbeat pounding inside his helmet. Then came the silence, that unbearable, hollow silence after the tackle that changed everything. Now, 2 years later, he was back here again. Captain of Titans RFC, standing on the same field that had once buried his soul. Ethan. A voice called from behind, low and steady. Coach Darnell Rivers, hands buried in the pockets of his heavy jacket, walked across the muddy field toward him. His face was lined, shadowed by the stadium lights, his eyes searching for something inside the young man that he couldn't yet name. "You can't keep punishing yourself here," Rivers said softly. "The ghosts won't leave because you stare at the grass." Ethan didn't look up. He was right there. "Coach?" "Liam, he said it was going to be fine," Rivers sighed, glancing at the empty bleachers. "We all say that, son, until it isn't." The coach's breath steamed in the cold air as he stood beside him. For a moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the crackling buzz of a dying light above them. Then Ethan finally turned, meeting Rivers' gaze. "You think I'm ready for this? For the final?" Rivers' jaw tightened. "You're the best captain this team's had in a decade." "But ready?" He hesitated. "That's not something I can tell you. The field decides that." Ethan nodded slowly, but inside him, something else stirred that same uneasy vibration that had haunted him for weeks. At first, he thought it was just nerves or insomnia. But lately, it had felt different, almost sentient. The coach's voice cut through his thoughts. "You'll lead them tomorrow. But remember, this isn't about redemption. It's about purpose. Purpose." The word echoed in his head long after Rivers walked away. Later that night, Ethan sat in the locker room, staring at his reflection in the mirror above the row of steel sinks. His face looked older than his 26 years, lines of exhaustion carved into his brow. He splashed cold water on his face, trying to shake the haze. That's when it came again. The sound, not a voice, not exactly, more like a frequency, faint and rhythmic, pulsing inside his skull. He froze. His eyes flicked to the mirror. Nothing. The locker room was still empty. Then it came again. "You have to remember." He gripped the edge of the sink, breath catching. The sound wasn't external. It was inside his head, the same tone he'd heard in his dreams. The one that always began with Liam's voice, but never ended as his. "Liam," he whispered. "The light, Ethan, it's not what you think." The bulbs above him flickered, one by one, until the room fell into half-darkness. For a brief second, the mirror shimmered not like glass, but like water disturbed by a ripple, and in it, he saw him, Liam Hayes. Mud still on his face, that same crooked grin he had before the accident. "Liam!" Ethan gasped, stepping back. The reflection didn't move. It only watched. "You're running toward the wrong goal," the voice said, its tone distant, layered with something metallic. "They're watching, Ethan. The signal has started." "Who's watching? What's signal?" But the reflection faded, leaving only his own terrified face staring back. Ethan stumbled out of the locker room, breathing hard, pulse hammering in his ears. The hallway stretched endlessly, every fluorescent light buzzing louder than the last. When he reached the exit, the night air hit him like a slap. He looked up and froze. Above the stadium, where thunderclouds once gathered, there was something new. A faint spiral of light, moving slow, deliberate, like a wound opening in the sky. He blinked, and it was gone. The next morning, the world had moved on. Reporters filled the sidelines, players laughed nervously, and the media teams circled like vultures. Among them was Maya Reed, her camera steady, her eyes sharp behind dark glasses. She'd been following the Titans all season, searching for that perfect story, the human one behind the sport. But something about Ethan had drawn her deeper than she intended. She noticed him sitting apart from the team, headphones on, staring at the empty field. His expression wasn't focus, it was fear, masked as determination. She approached quietly. "You look like you're about to walk into battle, not a game," Eglin said up, managing a faint smile. "Sometimes they're the same thing." She tilted her head. "You ever think about what happens after the whistle blows? When it's all over?" Ethan's gaze drifted toward the far end of the field, where Liam had fallen 2 years ago. "Every day." Maya frowned, sensing something unspoken. "You still blame yourself, don't you?" Before he could answer, Aiden Ross burst into the locker area, tossing his bag down with that arrogant swagger that had already earned him a reputation. "Captain brooding again?" He smirked. "You know, it's kind of hard to follow a leader who looks like he's seen a ghost." Ethan turned, eyes narrowing. "You have a problem with leadership," Ross Aiden chuckled. "Not leadership, just ghosts." The tension between them thickened. Coach Rivers stepped in before it escalated. "Save it for the field," he barked. "You want to prove something? Do it with a win." Aiden muttered something under his breath, but he backed off. Ethan turned away, jaw tight. But inside, that frequency returned, faint, but pulsing again. "He doesn't see it yet," the voice whispered. "But he will." Ethan closed his eyes, steadying his breath. That night, the team checked into the hotel near the stadium. The halls were alive with nervous energy, laughter, music, the sound of boots against tile. But Ethan stayed awake long after everyone else had gone to bed. He sat by the window, the city lights flickering below. His laptop glowed faintly beside him, paused on an old video. One recorded years ago by Liam himself. In the clip, Liam's face filled the frame, smiling as he pointed the camera toward Ethan. "One day, you'll lead them, Cole. And when you do, don't let fear make the call." Ethan's throat tightened. He replayed it again and again, until the screen glitched. Static, then distortion, then something else. The image blurred Liam's face, melting into symbols, then light, then a pattern Ethan couldn't understand. Behind it, a sound, low, pulsating, rhythmic. He leaned closer. It wasn't random. It was repeating, like coordinates. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. Unknown number, 1 Messahay. "They know you can hear it." His pulse stopped. He glanced back at the laptop. The video now frozen on a single frame. Liam's eyes glowing faintly, like twin stars reflected in water. The hum in his head grew louder, stronger, filling the room with invisible weight. He clutched his temples, pain slicing through his skull like fire. Then came the voice again, clearer than ever. "Ethan, the message isn't from me," he gasped. "Then who?" "Look up." A deed. Through the hotel window, the sky was no longer dark. A line of light split the horizon, silent, steady, almost deliberate. And in that impossible stillness, Ethan Cole realized two things. Liam's death hadn't been an accident, and the signal that haunted his dreams had just begun again. He didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. Because somewhere, deep down, he knew tomorrow's game would not just decide a championship. It would decide everything. And as the first rays of dawn broke through the clouds, the hum in his mind whispered one last time, "This is where God's final plan begins."